Hello and welcome to the Work Hates podcast. I'm Bron Lewis. This is Bretty Blake. Everyone has a nightmare work story, whether it is a dreadful boss, a shitty workplace, or an insufferable colleague. And if you've had none of those things, chances are you're the problem.
You are the problem. Today we are joined by comedian, former lawyer, and a sexy YouTuber, Andrew Portelli.
Wow.
Hey, everyone.
I don't know why I went with sexy YouTuber because I was trying to think of the last clip you had, and you're in a beautiful blonde wig, and I loved it.
Oh, yeah.
You were saying you're from, but I love that you didn't even question that. You were like, yes, I am the sexy YouTuber.
I wasn't sure what he was referring to, so I thought I don't want to start an argument this early in the podcast, so I thought, whatever.
Yes, that's
sexy
me.
YouTuber. Okay. I don't know. I don't even know what's out there, to be honest.
Yeah,
You've been in the game as long as I have.
Is this the one? Are you talking about the one where it's like North Side and South Side going to yoga?
Yeah, I love that series. Yeah. And you had like a blonde wig on. You're like, and you are from there, and that's different.
Lots of,
love that. It's
okay.
so funny.
Have you been making silly YouTube things for a long time, or is this a new thing for Portelli?
I've recently been dipping my little toe into the world of online content.
Yes.
And
are you enjoying it?
Honestly, I fucking hate it.
Yeah. It's awful.
I hate it.
Yeah,
Isn't
I've got
it
to edit
awful?
this later. I got to have clips. You got to have content.
It's so awful. Do you remember it was only recently the TikTok in America, they were like, it's over, it's cancelled.
So
and
happy.
everyone was like, yes, please do it to all of them. Lizzie, who made a tweet, was like, oh, whatever the hell it was. Maybe she just made a post and was like, please do that to all of the social media platforms so we don't have to do this anymore. None of us want to do it, but we have to do it for people to even want to come into
I'd
our
like
shows.
to just nuke it from space.
That'd be nice.
Whatever data centers there are, just fucking just fucking level it. Start again.
Yes,
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
This is crazy.
But thanks for watching. Thanks for
Make
following
sure
on
you like,
YouTube.
subscribe, and follow our Patreon, please.
Yeah.
We need the money.
This is perfect for me because I don't have to do anything apart
Yes.
from talk.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
Do you, when you post it, do you get anxiety of like, oh, is that right? Should I?
Crushing, disgusting anxiety and I can't stop checking it and checking the insights and going, why the fuck didn't this go as well as the last one?
Yes.
I put more effort into it. We use proper cameras. I invited someone who's got like a bigger profile.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. And then you look at your other people in the scene, and their numbers are just going up and up and up, and they're just fucking lapping you.
Yeah.
And they're shit on stage. They suck. And then you go, oh, we've already sold out the weekend. Fuck you.
I
don't like it.
Yeah, you think it's got something to do with where were your first two mistakes was you tried. The moment you try online is when you fucking fail.
Yeah.
I've got a nice camera and I thought about it. No!
Give us the slop.
Yeah, give us your fucking B-side that you've not even thought about.
Yeah.
I think it's such a mystery. I think that's what's quite frustrating about it is you have no fucking idea of what people are going to like and what's going to take off and what people are just going to leave for dead. And the ones that they've left for dead, you're like, that was the one that I really wanted you to like.
Yep. Yeah. And not just because I put time into it, but also because it's like your view of people and the like capacity of people to understand art, right? Mm-hmm. Is you think I'll give them something that's really smart and funny, and then no one looks at it. Yeah. And then you give them just the bottom shelf slop. Yeah. And everyone's like, this is awesome.
Like farting
and you're like,
in a Milo
this is
tin.
actually a joke on you. You shouldn't like this. You should be angry.
Yeah. You should be actively hating this. And then they come to your show and then your audience gets dumber. You have to dumb your comedy voice down, and then eventually you're just going,
That's what it is. That's what it is. That's how it felt. Like the stuff that has done the best for me has been the one where I have been really just expressing contempt for like the people who like this, like, particular styles of videos, and everyone just takes it at face value and goes, that's awesome. And I'm like, okay.
We're getting dumber as a population, or the dumb people are just more visible.
Yeah, and I think also whatever algorithm there is, or I don't know exactly what the connection is, but it is just there's like a it's just sliding downwards, like it's targeting the stupidest part of everyone's brain and it's feeding it until that gets bigger, and then the smart part is getting smaller.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what they're trying to do. But I was just like, yeah, no, I watched a lot of videos of just cats slapping people as they go past. I'm like, yeah, I'm the problem as well.
I like those videos.
They're pretty good, aren't they? Yeah.
So how do people? So what is let's just get it out of the way now. What is your Instagram handle? Maybe everyone who was watching, who was listening, go on to Andrew Portelli's Instagram.
But don't like any of the smart ones. It's whatever's the absolute slot.
Yeah.
Go, this is
What's your Instagram handle?
It's at Enter the Portman. And I'm on TikTok as well.
Oh, are you? That one's even more depressing, isn't it?
Yeah. You're a TikToker, brother. Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to a true pig in the mud.
Yeah.
But how old were you when you started comedy?
I was, first time I did it, I was 21. But I took a break I didn't take a break. I didn't do it again for 3 years.
How come?
I was finishing law school.
Okay, but the gig obviously didn't go very well.
No, it went really well.
And are you one of those people who's like, okay, I'm not gonna fuck with what's perfect?
No, it was that it had fucked me up mentally so bad.
Oh no.
That
it went so well.
It went really well, but in the lead up, like I couldn't think about anything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
yes,
when you're just so intensely anxious and nervous. And then the gig went well, but afterwards I had this feeling of like, oh, this could consume my whole life.
Yes.
Like all I could think about was, I'm going to write this bit and this bit and this bit. Mm-hmm. And I just had this, like, I guess intuition, like if I do it now, I'm going to go crazy.
That's very clever for you to recognize that.
So
it's very insightful.
You're like, oh, I'll do it later, and now you've just delayed the crazy.
Well, so I then when I finished uni, I got back into it, and I think my first gig, like my instincts were quite good, and I think I was pretty decent. But when I came back, I was so bad. I don't know what changed, but
is it probably the crippling HEX debt that you had?
It was, I don't know. There was something going on. I think, when you finish uni, like when you're at uni, you have a feeling like...
Can't relate.
Yeah. Well, just imagine, you're like when you're in year 10, Brett.
There he is. I love seeing the true Andrew.
Like, oh, anything's possible and stuff like that. And then you get out into the world and you're like, oh man, this is so
depressing.
Shit. Yeah.
Oh shit. I love when you walked in, Brett was like, this one's got to be electric, Portelli. It's got to be such a good episode. And you're literally saying how bad the world is.
Yeah. Well,
you did say, I'd like to be on in the morning. I'm better in the mornings. Yeah. And then we had to push you back to 4 p.m.
Well, this is the most animated I can be is when I'm complaining and griping.
I love angry
Andrew.
This is perfect. Yeah. I can't imagine you any different. But if you came in with a sunny disposition, I would have been like, well, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Dad's on new meds. Fuck yeah.
So, but did you get into law? So you finished your law degree. Did you get a job as a lawyer?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I was a lawyer for like 9 years.
Oh, okay.
Is this true? And hopefully I'm right. You were a pedophile hunter. I don't think it was called that. And you didn't have like Dog the Bounty Hunter and you kicked doors in.
Did you have a cape and stuff? Or
I did prosecute pedophiles.
See, I told you. It's fucking crazy.
But you didn't hunt them.
Well, this is... I hadn't planned to talk about this, but when I was a kid, I was a bit of a freelance pedophile hunter.
What the fuck do you mean?
I used to have a bit about it where I would... I
just like dressing sexy as a kid.
No.
See so you'd come around. Got him, he's a pedo.
I was like 12 or 13 and I would catfish pedophiles. Online.
Oh,
I think we all kind of did that on the MSN Messenger. You were like, this guy's definitely not a girl.
But I was already a child.
Yeah.
So I just pretended to be a girl instead of a boy. And then...
How did you know they were grown-ups?
They're always dudes on those.
Well, I created a profile and like, people would message me, and then I'd check their profile. I can't remember now.
This is a fuck thought, but you're like, this guy who's a pedo, and then he's like, finds out this information. He's like, fuck, and I'm gay. Fuck, it was a dude all along.
Yeah. A little boy.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, I was catfishing them, but I was still a child. But I just could see in their profile that
they were grown men,
and they would say stuff, like they would refer to driving and stuff,
okay.
Oh.
And what were you chatting about? How old did you say you were?
So I would say I was like 13 or 14.
Yes.
And then we would chat. So chat, and then they would want to have cyber sex, and that's when I would reveal, I'd fuck with them, and then I would reveal actually I'm not a girl at all, I'm a boy.
I'm a little boy.
Yeah.
You're it doesn't bother us.
Yeah, that's actually fine by me. So do you think, in your heart of hearts, you changed them in the way that they were like, I'm not doing this anymore?
No, definitely not.
They just they went, okay, not that one. They went for another.
Yeah, I was just trying to annoy them, like that. So
this wasn't like a.
I wasn't like a vigilante when I was. Yeah, when I was a child. No, I was just annoying them, because there was this website that I used to read, and it was adults doing this same thing.
Yes.
Right, they would pretend to be like a kid, and then pedophiles would message them, and then they would just string them along and make it funny. They go like, "Oh, now I'm wearing a robe and wizard hat and all this sort of shit," and just try to make these guys angry. Yeah, so I was reading that as a kid and going, "That's really funny.
Oh, okay.
I'll do the same thing." The difference was that I wasn't an adult doing it.
What's that TV show? And they hunt down the pedos, and then they get to their house
to catch a predator.
To catch a predator, and then all these people come and they're like, "Oh, I didn't fucking know." Like, "No, we got you here, you fuck."
And they'd be like, "Oh, I remember watching it," and then run away.
Anxiety, but the
police couldn't do anything about it because they were like, "But there wasn't actually a child. You tricked them." It's like, "Yeah, but there could have been a child, and there wasn't actually one. You'd know this is the law." So they couldn't actually prosecute. This was, I remember watching this. It was in the UK. Could you get in trouble even if you weren't if there was no child involved, but you thought there was one?
Yeah, I think you can because because
Intent.
cops do pretend to be.
Do
kids.
they? You could be. You could be a police officer.
I was sort of like a junior police officer, unofficial. I was off the books. I was sort of like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Departed, like.
Instead of flying planes, you're flying pedos into the wall. Hell yeah.
If asked, the police would have denied all knowledge.
We won't be asking them.
So then, when you became a lawyer, did you have to? Excuse my ignorance, but did you have to specialize in kids stuff or is there a section of the law that is specific for that?
No,
so it just became law is law, and then you move on to the next one.
So I started off in a completely different area. And this was my actual worst job. I was in a corporate law firm for a big kind of evil law firm for 3 years.
Oh, it's a long time.
And that was nothing to do with crime. That was all big companies suing each other.
Oh, so boring.
And it was boring, and also the hours were crazy, and the pressure was crazy. So that was my actual worst job. The actual prosecuting job was later, and that was good. I like that.
We had Mike Goldstein, another comedian, on this podcast ages ago, over a year ago now, and he used to be a lawyer. And is that right? He was a lawyer. Yeah. He worked in a law firm where he said that the lady on the desk, they would be near the toilets, and they would time them in the toilet, to see how long if they were taking the piss. Well, literally, if they were in there for too long, and they would dock their pay if it was in there for longer than 6 minutes or something. And I'm did you have any of that kind of pressure, or is that just did Mike made that?
I don't know if anyone was timing my toilet breaks. I'm not sure about that.
So you actually had a pretty good job. So there's nothing to whinge about.
Well, there there was one night where it was like 6:30, and my boss came into my office, and we had like all this confidentiality shit, but basically, unless you had like signed all this stuff, you couldn't look at certain documents. They are secret documents.
Mm-hmm.
And he came in at 6:30, and he said, "We need an extra copy of those secret documents for first thing in the morning. So I need you to photocopy them." And it was 15 lever arch files of documents, and they were all like torn and tattered and folded up, so you couldn't feed them all through at once. So you had to do them like very, very like painstakingly, slowly, like one by one or a few at a time.
Oh my God.
And I stayed there till 5 a.m. photocopying, and then caught a taxi home and came back next morning at 9. And I went into his office and I said, I finished that work. And he said, we actually don't need those now, but thanks.
Oh,
so,
my God.
Oh, dude.
What did you say?
Got a rifle out.
I went, okay. Yeah.
Was it a very, like, because it's like, if it's companies suing companies, was it a very like bro culture? Was it, or it was just like, just a shit job because no one gave a fuck?
It was a pretty bro-y culture, yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize at the time, but like everyone there was, like all the guys were jacked.
Yeah.
And...
Oh, you're from Perth?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And it was like even I was jacked, which
really?
is not my personality, but we had a free gym membership and we'd all got lunch. And just by being in that environment, I got pretty ripped, like, which was not bad really, but it was like a very
bro
culture, yeah.
Private, I think private boys' school is the vibe, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucas used to work at just one of the big four, and he had he said that just every, like, you know, who they celebrate, who they kind of champion. It's always just like the kid who would have been awesome at a private boys' school. He said that like one time this guy walked over to this lady's desk and she had her pearls. She'd taken her pearls off on her desk and picked them up. And he called over the office, "Hey, Lucas," and he dangled the pearls. "You left your necklace here." And he said, it was such a, like they were 13-year-olds. And then he said the office just erupted. And it was like, not a good joke. Not a good joke.
I disagree. I reckon that's pretty sick. Yeah.
But Lucas is like, "Oh, yeah, good one, mate. Yeah, well done. Yeah, cool. He's like, I felt so embarrassed because they were all laughing at the dumbest thing. But it was at his expense. And everyone was like giving him high. It was like something out of the movies. I was like, that vibe, I would bring a rifle to
It
work.
was crazy. Well, so I found out later that one of the girls I worked with, I caught up with her a couple of years ago, and it had been maybe 6 or 7 years since I'd worked there. Mm-hmm. And she was saying, because I was so out of place there, I didn't really talk that much. And she was saying that there was like a running joke that I was going to like shoot up the office.
It's not a joke.
And I was pretty miserable. And I was like, we had like glass doors in our offices, and I would sometimes just be in there like, and I was crying. Like I was on the computer working and I just had tears coming down my eyes.
No.
But
you were crying. What, you were miserable because it was boring, or because of all of the
I just didn't want to be there.
Yeah, 3 years is a long time to hate your job.
I'm a beautiful, like, I've got the soul of a poet, and I'm being crushed in this fucking shithole.
3 years is ages though.
Yeah.
And how did you quit in spectacular fashion? Please tell me you did.
No, I gave them a month's notice.
Did you
and they
shoot
put on a
them
really
all?
nice lunch.
Oh.
Yeah, they spent about $6,000 on my going away.
Oh, that's nice.
Lunch. Yeah, they were nice, but
they're like, please, we need to spend heaps of money. We don't want this gun coming back with a gun. Well, hey, whatever you want. You want a fucking Rolex? Yeah.
Well, she said that there was one meeting, because they had that running joke, and then there was one meeting where we're all in like a team meeting and talking about whatever work we had on at the time. And I had a pen and a notepad, and I didn't make any notes for the whole meeting. And then towards the end, she looked down at my notepad, and all I'd written was, "Today is the day."
Oh my God, I would have scared this shit out of
I didn't remember it at all, but yeah.
my God.
Yeah. But my memory at the time was like, yeah, I get along with people and they like me. So
you're pretty like, man, everyone loves you. Everyone's like walking around on eggshells.
Very bulletproof vest.
Everyone's very polite.
Yeah, the boss is like, I heard he really loves photocopying. Maybe I'll give him this big document. He'll love this. So now more back to this lawyer and this, like, how does that work when you're working for the cops? How does that work when you're chasing down or prosecuting?
Oh yeah, so that was my job after that one.
Yeah.
Is I went and worked for the government as a prosecutor.
Okay.
And that's when I moved to Melbourne. Yeah.
Was that easy to, because I know that Western Australian law is different to Victorian law. Was that easy to transfer?
Yeah, I mean, there's such different areas anyway, so it sort of doesn't matter. And I was working for the federal government, which is the same law everywhere, kind of. So, yeah, I just put in an application and asked if I could move to Melbourne, like to their Melbourne office. And
how do you choose? I know that there's prosecutors and defenders, and how do you just have to choose one? You're like, I think it'd be better at that, or do you? How does that work?
Just my personality. I don't think. Like, I'm more of a rule enforcer rather than a rule kind of avoider.
Oh, okay. Is that what defenders are?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
I reckon I'd be that one.
Yeah.
Your Honour. Like full Kentucky suit and shit.
Yeah.
If it appeases the court of law.
Yeah, like, like when I'm driving, like I'm very quick on the horn.
Are you?
Do you know what I mean?
That's incorrect. Okay.
That's my kind of, and not even, even if it doesn't directly affect me, but if it's like someone's not following the rules, I like to just give them a little tap.
I hate people who use the horn.
I hate horn people.
No, because we all need to follow the rules so that the system works properly. The rules are there for a reason and it makes sense. Yeah. But when only a few people follow the rules, that's when the system breaks down.
Okay.
Yes, guys, don't break the shackles of society.
Don't do
Everyone head down, walking forward, please.
Yeah, please follow him on Instagram. He will shoot us all. So what is if someone had said, "Hey, we actually need you to be a defender," would you be like, "No, I'm not doing it," or would you be like, "Fine"?
No, I wouldn't do it.
It looks really hard. I watched Insight once, and you probably watched it, and it was on SBS, and it had defense lawyers, and it was one of the most depressing things I have ever seen in my life, because it was all these like broken people who are like had been decades in the system defending the worst people in society, and having to be like, no, he needs a second chance. He might have killed that small kid, but it wasn't right in the head on that day. You'd just be wanting to throw the book out. I'm like, how do they do it? And one of the interviewer asked this woman, how do you sleep at night knowing that you have let all these people? And she goes, I have to have 2 bottles of wine every single night. And it was like a really frank thing to say, but she was like, no, seriously. And all these other defense lawyers were like, yeah. One guy broke down because he was like recalling something that he'd seen. I was like, how on earth could you possibly do it? And sure, they might have a lot of money, but they must be miserable. But as a prosecutor, it'd be quite thrilling to put the bad guys away.
Yeah, initially it is, and then look, my level, I did that for 3 years as well, and so I wasn't doing the absolute most crazy serious stuff, like really, but I mean I was prosecuting like some pretty serious crimes, like big drug importations and pedophiles and stuff like that, but they weren't the absolute worst of the worst in society, right? So what I saw was a lot of the people that you end up going after are just fucked up people.
Yeah.
And certainly like on the drug side, we would mostly get the low level people who would be someone on a student visa,
right?
Who got approached in a nightclub and asked, "Do you want to make $5,000 easy?
Right.
We need you to bring a package through customs."
Oh.
Right. And so we would get that person, and we wouldn't get anyone above them.
Oh.
And basically the top. I'm hearing you.
And you know, after a while, you're like, well, these people are all interchangeable. Like, there's always going to be another person who is going to step into that position.
Yeah.
So that also doesn't feel that good.
Yeah, you're just getting
you're
most
just part
vulnerable.
of this big wheel that's just rolling and crushing people.
And with the pedophiles, did you recognise any? You're like, hey, remember me? I'm Little Bo Peep. I remember you.
I've got you twice.
You still doing this? Far out. Come on, mates. Hey, I let you go the first time, but now actually this is more of in an official capacity.
And now you got wigs on. When you wear little wigs on your YouTube, think like, fuck, he was a girl after all.
What is he?
Yeah.
And so, do you miss that job? Because you're not doing that anymore.
No.
Do you miss it?
No, I don't miss any of it.
Did you have like a last straw? Was there like, this is the day moment for you in that?
No, it was just I know that's not like a very sort of dramatic thing, but it was just a gradual, slow decline. Yeah. I just gradually realized, like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to see so much shit. I mean, we haven't, like, you know, but the stuff you'd have to see because it's evidence, and you just see so much horrific shit, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That would fucking ruin.
Yeah.
Sorry if that brings us triggering or whatever, but
no, but that's a good point though. Like, because we talked about the defense lawyers. They're all drinking 2 bottles of wine a night from that show that I saw, but you have to see the same things that they see.
Yeah.
And then you just have like a different side of where you're like, that's bad, this is why, you'll go to jail. Whereas they're like, it's bad, but please, maybe he won't do it again. You see the same stuff. There must have been things that kept you up at night.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that must have taken us off. Did they offer you?
I don't want to go into detail.
No, sure, please. I don't want to hear it. But did you have to were you offered like free counselling? Or they're like, please see someone?
Yeah, every 6 months we had an hour with a psychologist.
Every 6 months?
I think it was every 6 months. It might have been every 3 months,
so
but
2 hours a year, or maybe 4 hours.
Yeah, 2 to 4.
That's enough.
And I mean, that definitely wasn't enough, but at least it did get me into going like, this isn't a funny thing, but it did kind of break my prejudice against going to a psychologist.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
and so then I could go in my own right later on. So it was good in that way, but yeah, it was definitely not enough. Like, it was, but I don't know what would be enough really, because the stuff that you look at, it's not like talking about it with someone helps really. Really, there is no solution to it.
Yeah.
Apart from doing it as long as you can and then getting out. So.
And how long was that for you?
Yeah, 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's enough.
That's enough.
Yeah.
I want to go back. I want to do comedy. Fuck this.
Yeah, and that was a big part of it, was just like, I was doing comedy at night as well the whole time from when I was 24. So I was
also
also
make people laugh after seeing horrific shit.
Like I would go to open mics after, like I'd finish work at 6:30 or whatever and go straight to the open mic in my work clothes.
Great.
And then, you know, like the guys in my group chat would call me a pedophile when I just spent all day like dealing with them.
Like, dude, I seen some horrific shit, but it wasn't as bad as that bomb.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just it was a crazy time, but
yeah. And so did you go work? So you were doing comedy and law at the same time, and now you're just doing comedy?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And do you write? Are you doing writing as well? Or is it just
I write for myself at the moment for my own stage act.
Craft?
Yeah.
The craft. So that means you've been doing comedy for like, how old are you now?
I'm 37.
Oh, okay. So you've been doing comedy for ages. And so in that time, can you think of the worst possible gig you've ever had?
Don't say when you're supporting Brett Blake. We had a good time. We did like 3 gigs that one. That was good.
Yeah, I think maybe you had a worse time having to follow.
No, I still remember that guy because you got a joke about. I actually got a joke about him now, but this guy at the end of the show. In this country town, Andrew's got a joke about finding his ex-girlfriend's hair in his ass or whatever. This guy comes up, he goes, yeah, you know what I found up my ass the other night? And we're like, what? And he goes, my finger. Do you remember that? That fucking ruled.
Oh my God.
And it was the same got the ghost guy bit, and it was the same dude, and his wife was there. And the bartender was like giving us the keys to the fucking place, and he goes, oh, just so you know, it's upstairs, it's haunted or whatever. Don't worry, it's a young ghost, you know, she's 14 years old or something like that. And he goes, yeah, I know, I saw her, yeah. She came into my room one night, and I was like, oh, yeah, what happened? He goes, I rooted her. And then we're like,
oh,
she's 14 years old. And he goes, yeah, but she died 136 years ago. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you're not a pedophile. Because this guy chases him. So
no. Yeah, the law's pretty grey in the ghost area, isn't it? It's pretty hard to get him.
Hard to prosecute a guy who fucked a young ghost. Okay.
Was this in Toronto?
Fuck, where was it? Was it Swan?
There was
Echuca? There was Echuca.
Swan Hill, Echuca, and I want to say Fairbridge, but I don't think that's right.
Yeah, it's something Bridge or maybe Murray.
So you were taking your show around, and Portelli,
were hosting. A guy, my mate I know, Jamie, took us around, did the 3 gigs. It was so much fun.
Did you love
some
it?
Country gigs. Yeah, it was fun.
Do you like country gigs?
Yeah.
Do you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They got a dark sense of humour out there.
Yeah. Oh, if you can get them to laugh, then you'll be fine in the city. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the worst ever gig?
There's one that I always talk about on podcasts, but I've done it a few times. So there's a different one.
Okay.
So that one was the one where I got booed off stage at a company Christmas party.
No. I'm
so sorry to laugh, because I just know I'm inches away from that at all corporate gigs.
Yeah. But there was another one that was earlier when I was still living in Perth. I got asked to do a gig and it was up in like Joondalup area. So like up pretty rough kind of area. Certainly at the time. I don't know what it's like now. And I was really new and I was on stage. I was terrible. I was doing my bullshit. And this guy started heckling me, but he kept stuttering. And I thought that he was stuttering because he was really drunk and he was heckling me. And so I started doing an impression of him from the stage.
Oh, no.
Like just doing it back at him, going, blah, 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 like just kind of. And there was this much younger woman with him who I later found out was his daughter. And she yelled out, he's got a speech impediment. And I just freaked out because I was like, making fun of this guy for having a speech impediment. But I didn't want to like come across as weak.
Well, no, you still worked at this old law firm. You're jacked as shit at this stage.
So I said, yeah, but he's still being a dickhead. And
that's true.
Yeah, you don't see disability. That's brave of you.
And then, and then I kind of kept going. I lost them so long ago.
This was merely a speed bump on the way out.
Do you know when like when you see someone and you can tell that they've completely lost their nerve on stage?
Yes.
It was one of those, it was one of those kinds of bombs where I didn't even really believe in what I was doing anymore. And so, I kept going for like another maybe half a minute and then went off stage and no one clapped. And then had a big argument with this guy's daughter.
Oh no!
Like off stage during the gig. The gig kept going, and we were just arguing by the side of the stage.
Well, you can yell at her. She doesn't have a fucking lisp, does she, or whatever? No. But also the confidence of a guy who's struggling to get out a sentence to go, yeah, I'll fucking take him down.
Yeah, I think he was a bit drunk as well. So
Oh my God! That you repeated, you mocked his
I mocked
voice.
him to his face.
To be honest, it's Perth. That would have killed, dude. They would have loved it.
They
Well, I
They
think those
hated
were
it.
Perth instincts for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've still got him in me, the little dog. He loves fighting.
Yeah. Whereas here, you'd do it in a different way. It'd be more diplomatic, or you'd be sort of rude but passive aggressive. There, it's just like
Yes.
straight on.
I love Perth audiences. Sometimes a little bit too rough. Sometimes like the late show, if it's a late one, and there's just been liters and liters of rum and espresso martinis just like charging through this white trash veins, and I'm like, okay, all right, and it's like fun at the start, but they can turn and they'll just like heckle or yell. They're wanting to go on stage and dance, and you're like, okay, Perth, you need to tone down the Perth a little bit.
Fucking hens night in or something. You're just like, oh my God.
But I did my show that was early. I just did Perth Fringe, and it was on at my show was 6:30. Paradise.
I think it's
Paradise.
There's a safe space for Perth, and that's 6:30. A
6:30
show in Perth.
Oh yeah,
dead.
you can forget it. You can absolutely. And edgelords can survive a long time out there. I think that's where they're pretty safe. They can say whatever they want.
That is true. Yeah, you can say whatever you want. That was a big shock when I moved to Melbourne, was because I thought I had 20 minutes of really good stuff, and then doing my best joke in Melbourne and just eating shit like crazy it was a shock. I had a bit about how, like, if I ever got captured by terrorists, I would break immediately. Mm-hmm. Like, if I got captured by ISIS, I'd break immediately. And, like, the first thing I'd do is, like, I'd betray all my family, my friends, and I'd offer to suck the terrorist's dick. And then there was, like, a long act out of me trying to corner a terrorist and go, I'll suck your dick. Oh my God. And this bit, I know I'm not misremembering it. This bit used to kill in Perth. And it went for ages.
And the best part is
20 minutes.
Like, is he just trying to suck this imaginary guy's dick? This goes for something like, if I keep going, this will get funny.
Yeah. And it was like a really like physical, like I acted it all out and I did all the voices and stuff, like a level of confidence that I never really had in Melbourne. Okay. But yeah, it was like, when it went off, like it was like a jet engine, like it was, and I'm not saying that because it was like a good bit. I don't think it was, but it was just geared to that fucked, like, yes, just say the most crook thing you can, and see what happens.
Man, my Perth stuff when I came over was like pretty, like dirty, you know what I mean, or pretty like, pretty rough or whatever. And then you got to like, I fucking bombed so long for like a year. I just sucked. It was just back to the bottom of the slop. It just took so long to get anything across and just rewriting. And it's like, none of this shit works here. And you're like, what the fuck? And then you're like, oh yeah, just talking about, drawing an ass and a pussy on a piece of paper on a flip chart. It's not going to fucking cut it.
Were you wearing the vest at the time?
We did this on the last episode. And it was a cardigan, you fuck.
So did you guys start roughly the same time?
We were
Brett was a bit before me.
Maybe like a year or two.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what was the open mic scene in Perth like?
It was tiny. That's what I remember. I could perform like once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like
when
12
I started.
people.
Oh, that's
Maybe
great.
like there was 20 comedians.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think it was good.
No,
but it's a long time ago.
No,
it was pretty bad.
I found when I started comedy in Melbourne, and only for a few months before the world shut down, and it was awful. I hate it. I hate the open mic chapter of comedy. Was so awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
I don't mind doing open mics. I like doing them, but it's just like.
Well, now because you know how comedy works, but at the start when you're still working it out, awful.
You're the 40th person on a lineup on Sunday, and there's no one in the fucking room. You're like, who's this for? But I need this gig, But I do love being a pig in the mud. I do love fucking open mics.
I went to Voltaire last night just to watch a trial show, and the memories of bombing there was almost too much for me to be in the room. I was like, oh,
really?
I hated it.
How many times have you bombed there?
Oh, I was at the start, and so I reckon I did the gig maybe 3 or 4 times, and I reckon 4 times. The first one was great because half the room were my friends, and everyone had a lovely time. It was my first ever gig, Club Voltaire in North Melbourne, and I was. Afterwards, we went down to Prudence. We all had it was like heaps of us there. We were just drinking wines. Everyone's going, "Was you really good, bro?" And I was like, "I was good. It's easy. Comedy's easy." And they were like, "You're not." I was like, "Fuck, I'm going to." Next night, I went to the Imperial, and it was run by those 2 sisters.
Yeah.
One had like plaits, and they were the grumpiest ladies in the world. And I was like, "Hi, I'd like to." I was still riding on a cloud, and I was like, I floated in, and I was like, "My turn now." And they were like, "You didn't get on the bill," because they took out. It was like. Names out of the thing, but they didn't. They just they just wrote their friends' names down. I don't know how it worked. Anyway, I'm bitter. But they, one lady said, "Oh, Carla Wills, remember her?
Yeah,
she's awesome." She went over to them and said, "I saw her last night. She did really well. We should put her on." They're like, "Fine." So I went on. I was like right near the end, but I was after this guy who was so heinous. He was like probably the vibe that you would have had to work with, like a suit. And there was a bunch of his mates there, and he was obviously, people at his work had obviously said, "Oh, you're funny, Matt. Like, you should absolutely fucking do it." And he was like, "Oh, I will." So he got up. He said his first joke was about people who are severely disabled. He was like, people feel so, and there is a person in the middle of the aisle in a wheelchair, a heavily disabled man. He's going, people always feel sorry for people with disabilities. I think that's dumb.
That's a hot take.
Yeah. He goes, I think that's dumb. Because, when this is so gross. I can't even look at the camera. He goes, because when I come, this is my reaction. And then he acts out him having an orgasm.
When does it get bad?
Oh my God. He acts out his orgasm, but he obviously is acting like someone with like extreme cerebral palsy. Yeah. And he's like, that's what they're doing all day. They're having like the world's longest orgasm.
Are you sure this open mic wasn't in Perth? Because that would kill there.
It went, unfortunately, he was the best on the night, like as in had the biggest reaction from the audience. It was so bad. And then he was talking about Indians and how they can cook but they can't drive. So we should really get them out of the Ubers.
Big topics.
It was so bad, and I was in the back, and I had to follow him. So I was like, they're going to hate my stuff.
Yeah.
And even though my stuff wasn't good because it was the second gig I ever did. But they hated me because if the things that they wanted me to say was that Indians are dumb and disabled people are having a great time. And
they're coming all the time.
It was so gross. I remember being like, I hated every second of it, and walking out of the rooms, the ringing in your ear from the silence, and like their like kind of disinterested look or embarrassed, like they're embarrassed for you, looking at you, and you can see it, and you walk out, and that was the beginning of my open mic.
Right.
Like I hated every second of it, but I was like, I have to get good at this soon, quickly, because I did not want to sit in the trough with these fucking losers.
Oh, how interesting!
So I just did as many as I possibly could. When I moved to Brisbane, I just did any and every gig to quickly get as good as I possibly could, as fast as I could, to not ever have to do a gig with a guy like that again. Yeah, and it was you. No, just joking. It wasn't you, Portelli. You would never say something like that.
I might, but
maybe in Perth.
It would be really cleverly constructed. And
no, the wig on.
Yeah,
the wig on doing it.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Just because, I think. Well, I know that you've had those experiences, and so have I. But the difference is that you had that thought of, there's a way out of this. Because I didn't know that there was a way out. I thought, I just was like, you just go do a gig and you don't move up and you don't move out.
You thought that was it?
I didn't know. I wasn't.
Why on earth would you do it if you
because
thought that
I wanted
was
to do it, but I had no sense of like direction.
Right.
Or like a very, very minimal sense of like, okay, well, eventually I'll be able to do. Crab Lab was the awesome gig back then. But yeah, I was just like, do. But that was kind of so normal.
So you enjoy? Did you, if you had Voltaire on, say like, oh, it's Voltaire tonight, would you be excited or would you dread it?
I wouldn't say that I was like super excited, but
you wouldn't be dreading it.
It depends. Like Voltaire, probably.
I like Voltaire.
Yeah, Voltaire, I probably would look forward to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would look forward to that. That would be one of the better gigs that I'd be doing.
Oh, really? The one with the sign-up sheet and every single person gets to go on?
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
I used to run that.
Portelli.
I
That's
ran
where
that
I
for
bombed.
like 3 years.
That's my first ever gig. Maybe you were there. You
Can't
ran that.
Yeah.
That was
It was. We would run that till 11:30 or 12 at night.
Wasn't there?
I would host
the last bracket.
sometimes. Yeah,
because I remember
that did actually put hate into my heart running that. Yes,
yeah.
That I felt like a social worker doing that. Like that was it was crazy.
The last bracket, because every single person who signed up was allowed to go on. So it was, and there would be what kind of numbers are we talking? How many people on a night?
I think the longest. So we'd already had a show, like a proper show with maybe 6 people in the first half, 6 people in the second half, maybe more, maybe 7. And then we called it the third bracket. Yes. And the most that I ever saw was we had 46 names on there.
Oh, dude, doing 5 each?
4.
Dude, that is rough.
It was I think I always...
I'm
I always
43, hopefully.
Yeah. I always got in the second bracket, and that was just because I was a woman, not because I was any good, because they just needed more women in the second bracket. So I would always get the second bracket, and I would get the fuck out of there because the room was like... It was like...
Oh,
was like
there was an evil energy.
Yeah. It was really creepy.
BO and male depression.
It was really... it was pretty grim.
The funniest part, though, was we would get all the names on the sheet, and then we didn't do it in the order that people signed up. We would change the order and stuff. And the way we would do it was we would try to put, we'd get some like women in the first part of the show so they wouldn't have to hang around. And then we'd also try to get, to be honest, like our friends and good acts. Yeah. And that way it could at least the first part could be a good show. And then third bracket, it was like, do we know you? Are you good? Like that would push you up and stuff like that.
Because people would be leaving as the night progressed.
Yes.
It's a long night.
And we wanted to give the audience the best show, but
46.
So you'd write this list, and then there was a moment where everyone has signed up, and some of them got there early to sign up, and you come out of the back with the list, and everyone's eyes are on you because that order determines whether they get to go home at 9 o'clock or if they're going to be there till 11:30.
Oh my God. The power.
Performing in front of no one. And you could see people like choking down anger when they saw like how late they were on, and probably everyone's going to have left. It was horrible. It was funny, but it was horrible.
Awful. And you said you did that for 3 years.
Yeah. So but I delegated a lot of the other stuff, or like I sort of took my hands off a lot of it because like writing the list was too bad, and people would hold a grudge against you and then act weird, and
So you did your awful corporate lawyer job for 3 years. Then you came over and you're a prosecutor for 3 years. Then you ran Voltaire for 3 years.
I think it was 3 years.
Where you like when you snap.
That's how long it takes me to realize I'm harming myself.
This is not good for me. Okay, because I had heard someone had told me there was an urban myth that there was one comedian, I don't know what his name was. He would go to Voltaire every single whatever night it was, Tuesday, Friday, I can't remember, and he would insist on being the last act on. Can you remember that?
No.
He was like, it'll make me stronger because it's the hardest audience to crack.
Yeah, no, I don't remember that. We did ban someone.
That's awesome.
Because
Brett Blake?
No, it was this guy who I think was in a foreign army, and I think he had PTSD, and one night he spat on Ben Searle.
Oh my god!
So we banned him.
Why did he spit on him?
It was we'd banned his friend. There's a long thing, but we banned his friend for being a dickhead. And then this guy kept arguing with us when we're at the pub across the road, and this guy kept coming up to argue. And then I started teeing off on him, and like I used to be a lot angrier than I am now.
I do remember that, Andrew.
Yeah. And so I started teeing off on him, and then eventually we were like, "You're banned too. Get out of here. Fuck you." And
no more 11:30 spots.
Yeah.
For me, mate.
And
I wouldn't ban him. I'd give him the gift of the 11th last spot every night.
and then he spat on Ben.
Oh, disgusting.
And yeah, I was sort of partially responsible for that. And then he would keep showing up and asking if he was still banned.
Oh, embarrassing.
And he would show up like in a disguise sometimes.
Awesome. A blonde wig.
Yeah. So.
But you knew it was him every time, like that.
Of course, yeah.
I would have put him on as you got to do.
He was a very unique individual. He had like a thick kind of like Eastern European, maybe Russian accent.
So it wasn't even subtle at all.
It wasn't subtle at all. Yeah.
It is. I'm sure there's a show been made about the open mic circuit, but it's where the strangest characters in the world emerge.
You're like a first responder. Like it is the overflow of the mental health crisis in our society, and also people who are just starting comedy, and that's also a very crazy part of anyone's life.
It is because
you're very vulnerable and crazy. And then you have genuinely insane people as well.
Oh yeah. I had, and I was so weird because I would have to go from like I was a teacher, and then I'd like having to like command the room, and then I'd go to sitting in the waiting room at Voltaire amongst all these people, and people like would pretend I was invisible. I'd be like, hello, I've met you before. I met you at the last. Nah. And they completely blank me. And I'd be like, okay, yep, all right. I'm absolutely not important here at all.
I still do that to
blank
people.
Me.
Not you,
I
but
Brian when I see
I blank a lot of people. But yeah, I'm not going to defend that.
And nor should you. Guys, that has been our time today. Andrew, where can people find you? The socials, you're the comedy festival coming up. What are you hitting?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Here's your little thing.
Enter the Portman.
This poster is amazing.
This is my flyer. So I'm in Adelaide just before this. It's the last week of Adelaide. I can't remember the dates. And then Melbourne.
Where in Adelaide, though? Are you doing Rhino Room?
I'm doing a board games cafe on King William Street.
I know the one I walked past.
I think I've seen that. Yeah, exactly. I ate it.
It's actually really cool. And
the end.
I don't know how to sell this, but you should come along if you're in Adelaide.
Imagine getting heckled by a guy painting a dragon.
Yeah, with a ponytail.
With a ponytail.
In a stutter.
And then Melbourne, I'm doing the first 3 weeks of the Comedy Festival, 26th March to the 13th of April at Fad Gallery.
Please go see Andrew Portelli. He's an amazing comedian. I fucking absolutely love him.
Yeah.
Guys, if you're not... you already done your fucking Instagram handle. That's
yeah.
Enter the Portman.
Yep.
Hell yeah. Guys, if you're not already on the Patreon, make sure you do so. Like, subscribe, all that boring bullshit. Also, Brett and Bronze. New show is out. It'll be Melbourne Comedy Festival. Make sure you grab your tickets.
Oh, yeah, the live show.
Yeah,
we're doing two of them.
Two.
Bang. Two of them. And Adelaide was banned. So if you want to see something loose, come along to the Melbourne ones, and maybe it'll be released. Maybe it won't.
Who fucking knows?
Who the fuck knows?
Thanks for joining us, guys. Bye.